I had a nervous breakdown, and I called Susie Essman, my wife from Curb, and I said, you have until about noon, and I don't know what you can do. I resent people who don't reach out. I'm reaching out, but I will be dead at noon if you don't help me in some way. Yeah, much closer with my ex than I ever was when we were married.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand her better. And I, being bipolar, severe ADHD, and a Gemini, which, my girlfriend became a therapist, by the way.
Wait, she became a therapist after you?
Yes.
Oh, so you didn't meet a therapist?
No, she was not a therapist. And it was pretty much, she was a film editor, and she became a therapist.
Okay, so you were telling me that you are bipolar.
Yeah, bipolar,
ADHD, and Gemini.
Yes, the Gemini is kind of a joke, but there is a duality. And so the mixture with my ex was not good for that recipe.
Right.
But now it's really good because I've done a lot of work, and I still do work. I do this thing called dialectic behavior therapy, but I also see anyhow, that and my meds, I'm doing pretty great. That doesn't mean I don't have bad days of bipolar, but the medication keeps me even, and the work I'm doing helps me lift that.
Okay, so did you always, when were you diagnosed with bipolar?
59.
When you were 59?
Yes. I was that late.
Were you shocked?
Yes, but it also explains so much of my life to me.
Like what?
Well, just my manic, depressive moods. I remember being in high school, and I remember driving to the beach. I grew up in Plantation, Florida, which is just outside of Fort Lauderdale. And I remember I felt so dark, so depressed. And I remember I used to say to myself, but there's one particular instance I actually have it in mind, driving by myself in the car going, it goes away, and you feel much better. It goes away, and you feel much better.
So you know.
So there was something wrong. And also, mania, comedically, I was very disruptive in school. That certainly is partially ADHD. I was, it just explained a lot of my behaviors. And then I had, professionally, it was... how do I say that? Okay, so if I'm working with a great director and I'm doing a wonderful film, which I've done, I have no problems because I'm focused. The writing is everything to me. Combine that with a great director, fantastic. But I've been in situations where the writing wasn't up to what I wanted it to be. And so I had resentment. I was upset that I was part of the project. And then my bipolar showed up of who's going to be showing up to the jolly guy or the asshole. There you go.
So if the environment is bad for you, then it does whatever it wants, kind of like whatever the bipolar does.
I'm more reactive as opposed to responsive.
Okay.
There's no responding. Responding
That's very good.
is gentle and thoughtful.
Yes.
Reacting is unhinged.
Did you learn that in therapy?
Yeah, I learned a lot of that in therapy. Respond, don't react. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just put the little spin on it for you.
That's
what
excellent.
It means. Yeah.
That's a great clip right there. We can put that on TikTok and Instagram.
Okay, whatever you want.
We can educate everybody.
But that is the truth. And now I actually have a weirdness in my life that I'm very content, and I am very responsive and not reactive. Also, all the therapy I'm doing, the meds, I'm also in a 12-step program. And the 12 steps give you everything you need. So all of that combined, I feel that, I don't want to say enlightened, but I feel as a human being, I have a thing that it's on my Instagram, and I've actually trademarked it, doing the best I can with the information I've been given. And that's what every day is for. I just do the best I can. And it's like you have that choice of your feelings, being reactive, and then you go, what else is going on? What's really the truth here? And then you find your place in that.
That's really good. So that is, there's a total difference in how people live without that ability to kind of get into themselves, see what's going on, make decisions.
There's no excuse for yelling at anyone. As a matter of fact, the best thing you can do is be quiet in those moments, and it'll all play out.
So were you a yeller before?
Certainly, I was a reactor.
So up until age 59?
Oh, actually, even after I was initially diagnosed. But I had a nervous breakdown, and I was suicidal.
Okay.
I wanted to commit suicide.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. I was defined by what others thought of me. I was defined by my status in show business, and I was on the show The Goldbergs, and there were some things said about me. I could have dealt with it if it was just me being a jerk or me being happy in the split, but I was made out to be sort of a Lothario, which I know is not me, but some people dislike me that much. And what I can cop to is I was an asshole, and I was manic. And mania could be in both. But I was not somebody you wanted to work with, especially on a show that Curb's my style. And I was joyful for the most of it. I'd have my moments of, I'm not really in a good place. But when you do a show like The Goldbergs, which people love, it was the number one show on TV that families watched together for a period of time. And so I was really happy, but I was not happy because, I had to film them at the same time, which was exhausting because there's a thing called first and second position. So I was first position on The Goldbergs, meaning they owned me. I couldn't do it. They don't do that much anymore with the short things. But what I got, which was amazing, was the studio said, you can still do Curb. Generally, that doesn't happen.
Okay.
But they were filming at the same time, so I drive from one set to it was exhausting. If I was in my 30s, delightful. In my late 50s, early 60s, not. It's difficult. And but I'm a hardworking guy, and I did it, but I had resentment towards the Goldbergs because my experience and so many delightful people on the Goldbergs. Really just wonderful people who I'm still very close with today. Curb is what I do.
Right.
Curb Your Enthusiasm and the stand-up you saw, they're tied together. It's what I do. I like improvising. I like being in the moment. I still write material, and I have to do what's in the outline that Larry wrote. I have to be present with what's been written, but that's creative for me. I'm working with Larry David, and then I go to the Goldbergs, and I already have so much resentment about many things and at first undiagnosed bipolar and diabetic, and my blood sugar was not under control. And with all this, I got no sleep, and it was a recipe for disaster. So when that part of it fell apart, it wasn't as much me. Well, the bipolar thing and being out of control, that was bad, and I could have dealt with it. But when disparaging things were said about me that I knew weren't true, but it was about what people think of me. What are people going to think when they hear this? Now, it was an attempted assassination of my character. It didn't last because I've had good character in my life with women, so it all worked out, but I didn't know that at the time. And I had a nervous breakdown, and I called Susie Essman, my wife from Curb, and I said, you have until about noon, and I don't know what you can do. I resent people who don't reach out. I'm reaching out, but I will be dead at noon if you don't help me in some way. And she called my girlfriend, she called my ex-wife, and she called Laura Stryker, who's one of the producers of Curb Your Enthusiasm I'm very close with. And all these ladies saved me. They saved my fucking life, which is unbelievable. And the idea that my assistant comes over, who also saved my life. You met her. She's been with me a long time. And she's so sweet and kind. And I said to her, because I got home, because I made this call, and on the way home from making the call in the car, I saw walls I wanted to drive into, but I said, no, I reached out. I know what's going to happen at noon, and there was no doubt. And next thing I know, together, my ex-wife and my girlfriend, they like each other, come in. And my friend Brad Morris, I had to sit in this room, and he had to keep his eye on me while they looked for a place for me to go to. A rehab center, a suicide place, like all these different things. And so I went. I still was anxious when I came back. I thought people were staring at me. I thought that I was going to be demonized. And there was a small part of that happened, but that's those people's problem, because it's not who I really am, and they would ask questions or they would look at me, but few and far between. And as the years go on, like even someone says, when you were on the Goldbergs and all that happened, I was rooting for you. Very kind. But that's a reminder of people are remembering that. And even, I've been in show business for 42 years. I've been a comedian. And you think about, on my Wikipedia page, it mentions that I had trouble on the Goldbergs. And we're talking about a blip on the course of my life. But that's how it works. And it's sad and frustrating. So it took a long time. So then a friend of mine brought me into AA. I was doing therapy at that time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 to 7 times a week. And I was, medicated, and I worked my way back through AA. And so I feel something, until this all happened, I never felt contentment. Like I'm stoic to whatever degree. I'm content. I deal with what is. I know how I want things to be, but what's actually happening. And I don't lose my temper. I'll get frustrated sometimes, but it doesn't, I even drink water. I used to never, I've always drank water, but I'm really great with it in terms of my diabetes and everything.
Yeah. So I get all of this from you. Like when I said I wasn't sure what to expect with you, immediately you can tell because you're giving off, I have a good intuition about people, I feel. So I feel all of that from you, what you're talking about, the place that you are in now,
right,
and the kind of person that you are.
Yeah.
To me, it comes through very loud and clear.
Well, it's been a jump for me, and I'll explain why in terms of me doing stand-up, which is the only place I used to feel content.
Because it's not just during stand-up that I'm telling you. It was like when we were talking backstage,
right,
in those 5 minutes that you and I were together, I was like, I like him a lot.
Thank you. And I was just being me.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say is I've always been vulnerable on stage, at least the past 15, 20 years. But now I'm so in a different place that it's even more vulnerable and more real. And I pray that it's funny, but I'm me on stage, legitimate. That's another thing too. Every comedian's different, but when you see me on stage, I'm the exact same person that I am off stage. Certainly it's a bit heightened on stage, but it's me, both places. It's me. And Curb Your Enthusiasm, I was me playing a character that was me except for his lack of values. And cheating on his wife. Those things are not me. Even when I did the Goldbergs and I had to call my kids morons, that was difficult for me. I was playing a character more on that show. That wasn't like me. But still, inside, even though I'm playing a character, very difficult. I would never call my kids morons.
Right, but you were acting. That's...
Yeah, no, I did, but I was still uncomfortable with that. And then Curb Your Enthusiasm, I'm playing this really man lacking in character, really no character, but I'm playing him exactly like me. There's no spin on it. If the character had character and the character was who I am, I would still have played it the same way. Well, that's the thing about comedy. I'm thinking of Alan Alda and Crimes and Misdemeanors. Comedy, you bend it. Now, anyhow, the point being is, I really feel this, especially as an actor, you you play comedy and drama exactly the same, and either you're funny or you're not, and the writing's funnier or not. If you're trying to make something funny, it's already failing on every level.
Right, you want to be like the authentic person, a real person.
You want to be authentic, and Neil Simon. I met him a couple times, and I was talking to him about this, and I said, "What do you look for? What are people when they come in an audition? What do you?" Because I was heavily involved with the casting of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I said, what do you do? He goes, if anyone puts a spin on it or tries, they're not getting the job.
Okay.
Because you have to be, whether it's Neil Simon, Larry David was the same way. If you came in and tried to be really funny, you're out. Like J.B. Smoove, who plays Leon, he just came in as that character effortlessly, and the next thing you know, he's on the show. He was originally going to be for one season, but he was so great that we kept him through the rest of the show because he's fantastic. But his audition was just, he was Leon. He was the character, and he just did it matter-of-factly. And most of the people who were successful on our show, when they auditioned, and a lot of people who were famous had to audition for the show, especially early on. A lot, because he wanted to see them doing it. I learned a lot from that guy, and also one of my best friends. Susie is, actually we're all extremely close. We are. And,
okay, you were saying, I have to go back to something anyway.
Go back,
I'm going to go back to like 5 things.
I mentioned this on stage. I used to be able to digress so many times. Now, one digression, I'm lost.
Yeah, well, I'm
and if I'm reminded, I go back, but I don't know where I was. Or I have to take 2 minutes to remember, oh yeah, I was talking about this.
Well, I got you because I have those things in my head. Think I have to go back to this.
Go back to anything.
So I'm going to go back in reverse order. So you said you were very involved in the casting. So they come in, they do auditions. Are you thinking who would be good for the show beforehand? Like, is that part of the casting?
Allison Jones casts most of the shows and seasons, and other people cast, and I'm always thinking, who would be great? Even I ran into Ben Stiller and I said to him, I think there's a part perfect for you on the show. Would you ever want to do it? He goes, oh, absolutely. I said to Larry, Ben Stiller wants it. Yeah, and Ben was great on the show. But it doesn't even be somebody famous, someone else who I know, they could kick ass on this. But they still had to earn it.
Right, so they would come in and audition, improv audition.
But they would improv with Larry, improv with me and Larry, Cheryl. Like, you're auditioning with cast members. That is overwhelming, I'm sure, especially the Larry David part. So what I used to do also was go out into the waiting area and just be really kind to everyone and tell them they can't do wrong, just to be real. I said that to them. I prepared them. And still some people completely ignored that. But I thought as an actor, if someone from the audition is coming out and being kind to me, that would be very calming.
Yeah. Yeah, but just imagine what they must have been going through at the time, and it's something that it's not like the other things. So I can tell you that I've interviewed a lot of actors, and almost always, so many people have mentioned their ideal type of project is Curb. Of course,
that's so nice.
Everybody wants to do that.
Yeah.
And of course, it was so successful, and you guys are so, you're
beyond
icons.
My wildest imagination. Because the only 2 people that were involved in the show from the very, very, very beginning is Larry and I. We're the ones.
So is your idea together?
You take an idea. Hold on. You take an idea to a genius, and a genius makes it Curb Your Enthusiasm. I took my idea to a genius. He makes it into Curb Your Enthusiasm. So
it was your idea. But
I get it.
I hear you.
I went to a person.
Yeah.
We went to lunch when there was a kookaroo across from Nate and Al's. We went to lunch, and we were talking about this, that, and the other thing. And he said something to me because HBO had wanted to work with him. I go, well, I have an idea if you ever want to do this. And that was the idea. Great, my idea. If I would have told it to 99.9% of other comedic people, it wouldn't have been what it is. Or it would have been something different and not as good. So Larry David, I thought of it. You get these inspirations, but Larry David made it something. And it wasn't even supposed to be for a series. It was just a hour-long special / pilot. Because Larry said to me, first day of filming, first day, he said, wouldn't this be great to do as a TV series? And I thought, well, yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be doing a TV series with Larry David. And then 12 years later, people think we're one of the greatest half-hour comedies in the history of television. And I can accept that because it's a group effort, and it's Larry David, who created also one of the... how often does a genius come in and go, all right, Seinfeld, what else you got? All right, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I've learned so much from him, but I will say this, being bipolar, a lot of times on the set, I didn't have a good time because I was so dark. I was, when the camera was on, I was able to leave that behind. But when it was kind of like the comedian crying off stage, the tears of the clown. I don't recall.
Did everybody know? Like, could anybody tell? What would you do?
If I wasn't, so I acted two things. One is I acted in terms of my silliness the same on Curb as I did on the Goldbergs. The Goldbergs, most of my silliness and political incorrectness, or I had a
like
lack
what?
of. Oh, I'd sing a song about my grandma's balls. I get sent to HR. The HR person would say to me, you can't sing a song about your grandma's balls. He'd say, grandmas don't have balls, and it could be activating for someone, which of course is ridiculous. But that's the world I lived in there. And then on Curb, if I was quiet, people would come up and ask me what's wrong with me. On the Goldbergs, probably if I was quiet, someone would ask me what's something wrong with me, or someone would think, oh, thank God he's quiet. Because I know there's people on that set that really liked me and really thought I was funny.
So who liked you on that set?
I'm talking about crew members.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the actors.
Yeah.
Some of the actors really, actually all of them dug me, to my knowledge.
So it was really an HR situation that was...
The HR person didn't quite groove to it or get it. And I accepted that. I remember my last day very clearly because I'd been told by the HR person, blah, 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 and I called up, I had my manager and my the producer of the show, the executive producer of the show, and they were in the last session with the HR person. And he was asking me to do this, and I go, oh, fuck, can I do this? And I didn't do any of the raising the voice, but my manager and the executive producer, they were trying to protect me. So I called them both that night, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I probably won't be as funny on the show because I'll have to be really controlling myself, which, by the way, I don't even have to control myself. It's not even being controlled. I'm just who I am now. And if I say something silly, it's going to be appropriate in the moment. Not that I wouldn't sing a song about my grandma's balls again, because that's ridiculous. But the last day I was working, I'd already felt, I didn't know who kept calling my name into HR. I didn't know who was saying, because someone was reporting me, or some people. And so I was paranoid. Combine that with it gotten so bad that I was just overwhelmed. And we're filming a scene. And in the scene, my son's character comes in with Little Caesar's pizza. And he goes, hey, everybody, I got Little Caesar's pizza. And we're all supposed to say, I love Little Caesar's pizza. And I said, hold on. This is the rehearsal. Hold on. And I go over to the producer and the director. Different producer who protected me. And I just said to them, well, this is a commercial, right? And they said, yeah, we're making some extra money so we can afford to pay an extra writer. And I thought, Sony's a billion, hundreds of $billion company. They won't pay for one writer, and I got to do a Little Caesars commercial to have that happen. They said, yeah, they're watching in the next room. That's what would happen when the client would be in the next room watching.
Oh, the client meaning an advertiser?
Yeah, well, the advertising agency and Little Caesars.
Oh.
And so I've done commercials, I said to them, for a lot more money, and I don't want to have my work tying up with a commercial is reprehensible to me. It is. I understand I have a variety show sponsored like Milton Berle or Jackie Gleason. It's sponsored by State Farm Insurance, whatever. That's very clear.
Yeah, it says that.
Yeah, it's sponsored by at the beginning. Well, we're selling soap through commercials or whatever. That's the reference I call it. Just you're selling soap, and your ratings matter as to how much you get to sell the soap. So I said, fellas, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do the first part of the scene, and before my son enters and says that, I'm going to excuse myself to the bathroom. And they said, okay, because that it wasn't up for discussion. That's what we were going to do. And I sat down, did the scene with two of my friends, Dave Keckner and Tim Meadows, are in the scene with me, and I do it, and I leave the bathroom. They shot it a couple times. I'm shot out. And as I walked away, I said to the producer director, have fun with your commercial. And I knew I was never coming back to that set again. In my mind, I'm out, because you can't try and fool people. This is the show. They like Little Caesar's Pizza. It's all got to be separate and real and honest. That's the way my mind works.
So you mean you were deciding to yourself, I'm not coming back?
I'm not coming back. There's no way. When I got outside, that HR person was there, and I had really been quiet all day, not sang any songs. And for me, it was because I didn't like the material, and there's that period of where they're doing a setup and making changes where I got to just sort of stay, and that's what I needed to do to rev me up to be in the scene. And so when I left, they said to me, Jeff, he said to me, Jeff, I knew you could do it. That was great. Well, I felt good about that. And I got a call from my manager, who I was about to call to say, I ain't going back. And then he called me and he goes, I just got a call from Sony. And I said, what did I do now, as a joke? And he said, they think you're a liability and they want to wrap your season out in a couple days. And so what happens is I said, oh, okay, fine. And great, 2 days, and I got like 7 more episodes in 2 days that I get paid for. Great. But I kept on thinking about, I don't want to come back to that set as Dead Man Walking. Hold on, dry mouth is horrible for people. Yeah. I hate listening to an interview and someone's like, so.
Yeah, okay, take a pause. We'll go right back in.
Okay, so I said, okay, but I became manic because I didn't want to be, I came back to the set. If I came back to the set, I'd be Dead Man Walking, and I'm also paranoid. Who created this thing? So on every level, it was like, I don't want to go back. But then I'd say, fuck it. It's a lot of money. Go back and finish this up. And then I would be, no, I can't do it. My poor manager would get these calls. Yeah. And then I knew I remember I was, I do the hyperbaric chamber. I don't know if you know what that is. And I was in the chamber, and I couldn't focus on, I watched Netflix in there, and I couldn't focus, and all I thought was, fine, I can't do it. That's it. I'm not doing it. And then by the time I was done and I left to walk to my car, I was weeping. And I thought, no, you got to kill yourself. You're done. It's over. And that's when I called Susie when I got in the car. I was crying. I was weeping to her. Because, the idea that I would go back and it'd be horrific, and also the idea that people didn't like me because I was, my worthiness was based on whether they liked me, and I wanted to be everything to everybody. That made me crazy, and so bloom, bloom, bloom. And I had just been diagnosed as bipolar. So
you were just before that?
No, yes, just.
Like a week before?
Maybe not even that, okay? The week before, the end of my time on the Goldbergs. That's why I said, well, maybe I'll listen and I'll just be, quiet. But it affected my performance. It affected everything. But, I remember they kept saying to me, save your comedy for the stage when you do stand-up on a comedy show. Boom. And I replied very sarcastically, well, clearly there's no comedy going on here. I will save it for the stage, you know. I was that way. So that's what led me to this really dark point where I was suicidal because it was all too much for me. And then I'm at the place, which was at the Lindor Center in Cincinnati. I had a choice of going to a place in Beverly Hills or Cincinnati, and I thought, no, I need serious treatment. I'm going to Cincinnati in the middle of winter. You know, I'd heard a lot of stories about rehab places here in LA, and I'm sure some of them were excellent, but I didn't want to take a chance. So I went in the middle of winter. So I'm there. I'd been there for a night, 2 nights, and in the trades it shows up that I'm an asshole, that I'm lecherous, all these things. And at the time, it was all, I actually went into shock. They had to cover me with blankets.
So you started shivering?
Yes, and my body went into shock. I could not believe it. And then as I spent time there, I was like really okay with, and you know, that's the thing about when you go in these situations and there's things said about you. I think anyone, whether it's attempted assassination or an assassination, you always come out and you got to come out and say what your part was in it. And my part was, I was not a person you wanted to work with because light or dark, manic, not manic, like it all, and that's not a person you want to work with. But what really still hit me, and it doesn't hit me anymore, was that I was not a man of character with women. And look, I can't speak to that from the standpoint of I don't know that, I don't think, I can only speak to what I know I did and how I feel strongly about, and that was me being an asshole or inconsistent with who I was. The other stuff, you know, I knew a lot of women who would back me, especially ones who I've helped with their career and all this stuff. I wasn't going to throw any of them under the bus to defend me. They did, some of them, on their own, but I was never going to ask them because I thought that was rude and it would make me not as responsible for whatever was going on.
It's a tricky situation.
Yeah, no, I'm not throwing
right.
any. And so I have women that some of my best friends are women. You know, I love that. Some of my best friends are black. I swear to God. Yeah, but I'm so close with some women from my lifetime that I depend on, that also fill me and I fill them. We have a real relationship. And the idea of doing anything to them, you know, in terms of and they're like really successful women.
Who are we talking about?
I don't want to say.
Oh, come on. These are good stories.
No, I don't want to throw them under the bus, but some immensely successful women that I helped get to where they're at.
Yeah, I don't think that's throwing them under the bus, though.
No, I don't want to do it.
And you don't have to do it, but let's just talk about if that's throwing them under the bus, because they are the ones who know and would stand up for you.
Yes, but
did they stand up publicly, or they just haven't said anything?
I didn't pull them into it.
Right, you didn't pull them into it. Okay. I thought you said that a few people did say some nice things.
Oh,
anyway.
They did, and some of them I might have. I'm not going in. Basically,
fine, yeah.
I can only talk to what I'm responsible for, and I want to show respect to the women in my life. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
And so when people come out and start defending themselves, they look foolish. So I refuse to defend myself. I entirely was behaving in a way that I didn't quite understand, but for a long time it was. I had a friend, one of the directors of the show, who actually directed the show where I walked off, old close friend of mine, and he would tell me, people would ask me what I'm really like, and he said that Jeff has good days and some days you gotta walk on eggshells. And to me, he was speaking Japanese. I'm like, what?
What? You
walk
didn't
on
know?
eggshells? No, because I thought I'm the last guy who'd walk on eggshells with. But also during that period, I used to always wonder, why am I always apologizing to people? Why am I always apologizing?
But you would feel like you needed to apologize to people?
Yes, clearly because of my behavior. But I had no idea because I felt like, why did that just happen? And I'd say, I'm so sorry, because I did have regret. And I did feel that my behavior was wrong. But I still thought, why am I doing this all the time? So when my diagnosis came, I went, that's why I'm doing it all the time.
Okay, so why did you get the diagnosis? Like, what happened? Did somebody bring you?
Yes, they did. It was my ex-wife and my girlfriend who teamed up and did an intervention. This is before the suicide one. There was an intervention of, we feel that something's really not right. And they took me to a psychiatrist who I knew, and he talked to me.
How did you feel when they did that, when they said that to you?
I was like, all right, if the two of them are teaming up, I have to take it seriously.
Okay.
One of them tells me one, or one of the, whatever. But the two of them showing up together at my door. Now, the other time afterwards, when it was me having a breakdown, I understood their support and why they were there. The thing with the learning I'm bipolar, I was shocked that they were there. But I said, well, when am I going? We made an appointment this afternoon, and I went in there, and I asked them. It was a 2-hour really assessment. And it was, I was bipolar 2.
Okay.
One of them. There's one that you really can't help with meds, and it's kind of, I don't know what I'm talking about, so ignore what I just said. I have bipolar 1, 2, could be 6. I'm still in therapy 3 to 5 times a week still.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, because I'm still, even though I feel contentment and I'm in a sort of stoic Zen zone, I still want to get better and better and better, just like comedy. I keep on going. I say, when I go on the road and I play a comedy club on the road, they thank me that I'm still doing it in comedy clubs. And I'm like, I'll do it in a theater. I'll do it in I've done it in there's this one gig that's like a moves around gig, and it's very popular around the country, and the one in Chicago, I did it in a beauty salon. Now the back it was at night, beauty salon was closed, but still, I will do my stand-up anywhere, and I'm always working on it and working to get better. And same with me on a personal level. I'm always working to get better. There's never a moment where I go, all right, I'm done, I'm funny enough, we're done. Or where I go, all right, I'm everything I want to be as a man. No. I'm working on being a better human being, working on being a better comedian, always. I had a moment where someone who I always admired as a comedian I always admired, that I was introduced to them, and I told them how much they meant to me, and their reaction was, why would you think that? And the appropriate reaction, even if you think, why would you think that, is thank you. Thank you. There are times people have come up to me going, I'm a genius, I'm a legend, all this stuff, which I don't buy into that. I'm not saying I'm not.
Yeah.
I may have moments of genius. I know I've accomplished a lot, but when they tell me that doesn't, and I say thank you every fucking time. Thank you. And so this person really made me sad. I made myself sad as I look at it now, but it really upset me. And so I had told my partner this story. And we're at dinner, and somehow the story came up. Not that story, but it's something that would lead into it organically. And my girlfriend said, tell them. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Tell them. And she asked like 3 times. I went, fine, I'll tell you. I tell them what I just told you. And she says, tell them who it is. And they're like, yes, who is it? And I said, I'm not going to say, because quite possibly he could be your favorite comedian, and I don't want to ruin that for you. Because he's still somebody that I think is a genius and I love, okay? Even after that, and so I'm not going to do it. On the car ride back from the restaurant, the 4 of us are in the car, and she asked Sari, my girl, my woman, actually, you know what I refer to her as, and she's my person. Girlfriend. Why
I
is it?
like person. It should be person.
Yeah. Why, it's like my guy.
Yes,
Sometimes
my
boyfriend,
person.
but it's like it's always just something appropriate
Yeah.
for the men, and the women are girlfriends and partners. I'm not in business with her, so she's my person. And my person said, "Who's your favorite comedian?" And the husband said, "Blah blah blah," and I was like, "Oh, okay, good." The second one, she named who I was talking about.
Jay Leno.
You can't do that to me. And
Well, and by the way,
no.
that's going to be off camera and everything.
No, I don't care if Jay Leno's on camera.
Okay.
I'll say blatantly, it's not Jay Leno.
Oh, it's not?
Why would you think it's Jay Leno?
I don't know. We're trying to
Jay
figure
Leno's
out.
only been lovely to me. No, but I'm not. Don't guess even. It's wrong. It's wrong. Don't
Is it
guess.
wrong to guess?
It's wrong to guess in this
Human
situation
nature.
because it puts me in a.
All right, I'm not
and
going to
even
do it
when we're
for
off
you.
Camera, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, I can't stop myself from trying to figure out who it is. I'm not going to put you into it. I'm not dragging you into it.
Oh, that's your business.
Right, but I'm just saying, you're saying it's wrong to wonder. I'm wondering, though. I can't help
No,
but wonder.
I'm not saying it's wrong to wonder. It's wrong to guess to me.
Okay, I'm not going to guess to you. I'm going to take
You
this
better
with
include
me.
this in the interview.
Really?
Oh, you have to.
Okay.
You have to. You have to.
Everybody's going to
It's very real. And
start guessing.
Here I am, because comedians, there's rock stars, there's actors, there's classical musicians. Like everybody has a connection to people they love. But with a comedian, it's so deep and personal because when someone has your number to make you laugh, that's a connection you can't get with any of the others. You can't. It's the most personal connection there is. So for me to spoil someone's connection to somebody because I had one bad moment and maybe they were going through a bad moment.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And also because as somebody who works with celebrities, I hear from a lot of other people like, oh, I heard so-and-so is whatever, the worst or whatever. And I don't like that. I strongly,
No.
I bristle against that because...
My ex-wife used to give me credit that, like she'd say, like with her friends, don't tell Jeff that he doesn't like to gossip. And I'd leave the room knowing full well I don't like to gossip. I have had moments where I'm not present and I gossiped. I hope those are all behind me. It wasn't a lot of gossiping, but enough that I was like, oh, why did I tell them that? Why did I say that?
Well, we all do that.
Yeah,
also.
but there's regret.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, oh, that's not kind. So I try not to judge. You know?
We have no idea what people are going through. None. It's just like nobody knew what you were going through during that time.
Yeah,
when
people,
you don't know. People do not share all the things, even people who they're close to.
Well, I'm not afraid to share it, and I'd share it on stage. I'm going to be filming a special in the not too distant future, and I may share a lot of that. I know I want to share it, especially the suicide part, so people who are bipolar or suicidal, whatever, they can look at me and go, him too? And then, of course, you give the number at the end for the suicide hotline now has gotten down to 3 numbers, which is beautiful. Not much to remember, but I want to ease the pain, but also if I save one person's life by having that number at the end, come on.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something that one of my most popular videos is an interview that I did with Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer.
Yeah.
And he told me about when he attempted suicide.
Oh, he attempted. I knew it wasn't going to be attempt. I was going to be dead. And that doesn't discount. An attempt means you really want to do this, or maybe not. I don't know. But I was going to be dead. And if I wasn't dead at noon, I'd be dead at 1. I'd be dead momentarily after that. But I didn't want my kids to... when you kill yourself... We'll get back to Caesar in 1 second. I'm remembering
something.
But when you kill yourself... Great, your pain, it's over, you're gone, you're wherever, you might be reincarnated, whatever the hell it is, but you're destroying the lives of everyone around you. That will never go away. Never go away. So that's really selfish to do, I feel. But you're in so much pain, it's hard to make. But go ahead, Caesar.
But those are 2 good points, because you have to be in so much pain, because everybody who has taken their own life, it's not that they didn't have people they cared about. They were in so much pain that it took over.
I still feel the selfish thing, because if you reach for help and you don't get it, then I understand it. But I felt like I don't want to be selfish. I'm going to reach for help, but this is a done deal. But I'm throwing it out there because I didn't want to ruin my children, especially. Now I think about it, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
was
you
I
would have.
thinking?
It would have had such an impact.
No,
the
I know, and
ripples
I've
for
learned
life.
more and more about that in my thing. So please get back to Caesar.
Okay, so anyway, the reason I told you this is because the comments that come in are exactly what you're saying. Him revealing this to me publicly on YouTube has helped so many people. I mean, there are comments every day flowing in about how this has helped them.
He's profoundly affected so many people's lives.
Yes.
Because what are you closer with than your dog? Your dog asks for nothing except please walk me, please feed me, and it'd be really nice if you love me. People don't like dogs. I don't understand it.
Oh, please,
but
dogs.
But even animals in general. Oh my God, my dog, who you met, is a lovely little. Who I stole from the Goldbergs, by the way.
What?
She was my dog on the Goldbergs.
No way.
So I've known her since she's 3, and I always thought I'd love a dog like that. Well, I just moved in this house. I was split up from my wife, and I asked the trainer of Sage on the show, can you help me find a dog? I figured she knew. She goes, what about Sage? Fireworks went off in my head. What about Sage? Well, the woman who owns her doesn't want her anymore. And I'm like, shut up. This is the most beautiful, wonderful. I fell in love with her when I first saw her. Fell in love. And most of the episodes she sat on my lap.
That's sweet. Okay.
So she became mine. And I became hers. And my girlfriend came along, and within the first few months of me us dating, and it was during COVID, so we were living together at the start of our relationship, and we're here 4 years later through all the suicide stuff and a bunch of other stuff, surgeries I had. She's been right there by my side. But she said to me, Sage is her name. She played Lucky. She had a stage name, Lucky. Sage is not going back to work. And I said, why? You can see, because I looked at pictures of her on the show, people holding her, and she's miserable. I learned that this is a bouncy dog, happy dog, even now at 15. I mean, really bouncy and happy. And she was never like that on set. And when she was held by people, you could see in these pictures, I am miserable, please someone. So she said, and also just knowing her, she's done. So the Goldbergs asked for her, and I said, no, she's not coming back. So I stole her.
Excellent.
And she's been, she really helped me during COVID because, she was there with me, and I talked to her all the time. And just her warmth and her love really just inspired me.
All right, so a few things. You say so many things that I have to go back to. I'm like, oh, here's another little gem as you keep going. Don't forget, I'm a therapist, and I'm all about who people are.
So you cut out what you want, you keep what you want.
Yeah.
That's all.
But I do think it's all good, and it's natural flow of conversation too, so I like to go with that.
Right. Well, you can edit certain parts, like the suicidal parts.
Well, the suicidal parts are going to be big. I think people are going to need to want to hear about it.
I'm really happy that people will hear about it.
Can you tell me what you were thinking of? Did you have a plan during those hours?
I live in the Hollywood Hills. I was going to jump off my backyard over my hill. Knowing me, I would have broke every fucking bone and survived. That is classic me. So it wouldn't have worked. And then if you're laying there and your bones are broken, how do you attempt it another time? A, you can't climb up the hill. Are you going to go down thing? Do you have a gun? Like it's the one try, and that's what I was going to do. Just jump off my backyard down. It's very steep, and the ground is hard. That was my plan.
Do you ever go out there to the spot and think about it?
There was no particular spot.
Okay.
I do remember sometimes, but I enjoy my backyard.
Good, because this backyard is fabulous.
Well,
the view is insane.
Yes, thank you.
There's your thank you again.
No, it's like my house is very thoughtful
Yes.
and simple and not ostentatious. The View, on the other hand, is quite ostentatious,
Quite.
but I didn't put it in there.
Right, so we're looking at the
No,
mountains.
but don't, I don't want to even get an idea.
Oh,
of where I live.
okay.
No,
Okay, they just
mountains.
imagine
Well,
it?
anyone in the Hollywood Hills is looking towards mountains, so that's okay. But let's not take that further.
Okay. You said you had 2 surgeries. Is it? And I read that you had a stroke. Is
I had
this
a
true?
stroke right before we had just filmed the Hour Curb special, and we were about to go in production on the series, and I suffered a stroke from back surgery. I had back surgery, suffered a stroke, and it looked like everyone was frightened, like one of the main dudes and a producer on the show might not ever be able to even work again. And I did my... I credit Curb Your Enthusiasm, the first season, with giving me all the recovery I needed, because I was forced to talk, even though I watch it now and I watch me slurring my words, I watch my eyes bugging out a bit, and I was just not in great shape and too heavy at the time. And so I watch it now and I see how strokey I am. But I watched season 2, different person.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Take me to the 12-step program too. So were you drinking at some point, or something
I
else?
drank in my life to get drunk.
Okay.
I smoked weed to zone out, and all of them get drunk, zone out. They weren't even enjoyment. It was like
Self-medication.
Yeah, self-medication. I'm gonna take this strong edible so I can go to sleep. But from one of my surgeries, I had a walker. And so in the middle of the night when I had to go to the bathroom, I used the walker because I was so fucking high. Sad stuff. But I bottomed out on food.
You bottomed out on food.
Yes. But when you go to AA,
Yeah.
everyone in the room has hit bottom. Everyone. So to me, it's a one-stop shop for all my addictions.
Okay, so
I
you're
was
saying
I was a love addict. I was defined by what my women I dated, whatever thought of me. And I wasn't whole until they liked me, which, I can go deeper into that. I don't want to talk about. Anyhow, that you can keep. That you can keep. A love addict, weed, sugar, alcohol, spending. Well, what it is this is the bottom line. Forget drinking a lot, any of it. I have an addict brain. I can get addicted. I mean, look at my books. I have read maybe a quarter of these books. I bought them because they tickled my fancy. I didn't need to buy them, but at a moment in my life, I couldn't get enough books. Now
okay,
I'm
there are
turning.
worse things than spending your money on
No,
books.
I concur, but I did it in an addictive manner.
Okay.
Not baseball cards. I've spent too much money on my baseball card collection. Guitars. I spent too much money on my guitars. Cameras. I'm a photographer. I have my book coming out later this year. Spent too much money on cameras, even though they're written off. But I obsessed about it. I still have that in me. That switch. Comic books. Collected comic books since I'm a kid. I've paid too much money for comic books. And it doesn't mean all those things can't be enjoyed. But unfortunately, I can't just have one drink. I hate the taste of it. But man, if I'm taking that first drink, there's a bunch until I don't want to say sloshed, but I would get drunk for sure. Inhibitions were nowhere to be found. So any of that, I have an addict brain, and that's the way I look at it. And the 12 steps help me with my addict brain. And so you can point to one of the other things that's wrong with me specifically. I was born with a brain filled with addiction.
Okay, and so AA really helped with everything.
Yes.
And you feel like you're in a good place with all of that too now?
Oh my God! I just celebrated my. Actually, today, my birthday, my 3-year sober birthday was this past Sunday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I celebrated you celebrate for a few days. You're made. And so Monday night, I have my home meeting, which is in person. I do Zoom meetings other than that, and there's regular ones I go to. So today I spoke at one, and they could wish me a happy birthday tonight, because when you're asked to speak, if there's nothing on your schedule or something you can't move, you just say yes. And so I've never done 2 in the same day. I'm speaking at one tonight because somebody fell out, and I will celebrate my birthday with them. And then by the time I lay my head down tonight, it's, look, I accomplished that. Not, And also, I could not have accomplished that without the other people in AA. They're the program, my compadres, they're the reason I'm sober. I didn't have to do any work. They showed me the way to go, and I followed the steps. That's how I got here. It's not because I had self-control. It's not because I'm great. It's because of other people and other things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have some good people in your life too, and you appreciate
them. I do,
them.
And I appreciate. If you're not a good person, you ain't in my life. Which because I know, look, I have carried some bad people / dead weight in my life. And I know there's a lot of people listening to this that they have them still. Man, if someone's bringing you negativity and someone's not making your life a better place and bringing you joy, send them packing. And you know what? You don't even have to ghost them. You just, you don't do anything, and then when they contact you, you explain in the most minimal terms, because you don't want to get into a discussion. You don't want to hear their side of it. You don't at this point, because they may talk you into continuing it. Get rid of that you can say dead weight, but actually it's active negativity coming into you. I no longer have that.
Yes. You have to monitor your diet also of who comes in and what you absorb from people.
I have to monitor everything. But I also know about, people ask me losing weight. The key to it is just if it's a problem, go to a 12-step, go to Overeaters Anonymous.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about food diet. I was talking about the diet of things
I'm understanding.
Okay.
I'm jumping there.
Okay.
In terms of like what you, yes, I understand that emotionally. But people are always curious how I lost weight. I lost weight 2 ways, and one I'm not happy with. The first way, the good way, is 12 steps. Not using food as an escape. When you do it the right way, there's no self-control. The other way I did it was, I'm diabetic. I took this diabetic medication, and I lost weight too fast and too much. But my blood sugar was winning because it's a great medication, but I stopped taking it because I've lost more weight than I even want to. So there's that. But I was already in a good place. I already had like a 70-pound weight loss before I started taking that medication. Now I'm at a 90-pound weight loss, and I only wanted like a 75-pound weight loss.
So how is the diabetes now?
Fantastic.
Oh, so even coming off the medication, it was
fine?
No,
it's helped me.
So it was like Ozempic or something, or the other
Mounjaro.
Okay.
But I didn't take it to lose weight. I know a lot of people do. But
that's what it's supposed to be for. Like, it was made for diabetes.
Made for diabetes. Yeah. I was prescribed it for diabetes. I don't pay very much for it. If you're getting it to lose weight, you're paying a lot for it. And I get it, I'm going to say this, cheaply. And it's done wonders for me. So really the only way to lose weight is to accept you don't have control over it. There's no self-control. You have no control. And to think you do is a joke. So what I've done is give it up to God. And my God is how I know God, which is the universe. My God's the universe. And the universe shows you things, whatever. Other people's gods, I respect whatever your God is. I used to have a Jewish God that I've never been connected. I love being a Jew, but I've never been connected to the Jewish God. I don't disparage anyone who does. The number one reason I don't go to temple very often is because I don't like standing and sitting. I swear, if you think I'm kidding, that's the only, that and also spiritually I'm not getting that much from it, but since I'm a kid, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And then as an adult now, when I've gone, I've just stayed seated and hung my head down and hid. Yeah, you have to give it up to a higher power, whatever that is to you.
So what do you then at that point? What do you say? Right. So then, okay. So walk us through this. What that looks like. So you're at home and you're hungry, or you think you're hungry. You want to eat something.
First off, I have, because of my girlfriend and because of my children, I have so much chocolate in this house. And I buy my girlfriend black and white cookies. You could have brownies, cookies, ice, everything laying around. I wouldn't touch it. There is no It's just because I've given it up. I don't control that. So when you give it up and say, hey, help me, I can't do this, please help me, and you accept that, you're going to get help. You're going to be good. But the minute you go, oh, I'll try not to, or I only have ice cream on Sundays, the only way that you're not addicted is if you can eat a normal portion, even every night for dessert. The minute, and you can crave, those cravings for sugary stuff, yeah, that's all good and fine. But if it's controlling you, then you have a problem. I love water.
There's so many good things you have given me today. I don't even know. I'm like, there's so many things.
Yeah.
We'll just have to separate them out.
By the way, I want to say for your listeners, I don't know shit. I'm just telling you what goes on in my head, my life. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about them, so I can't tell them how to live. But I do tell them because I get asked all the time about how I lost weight, what are my views on weight loss. And I dieted for years. I did all sorts of stuff, but it's not helpful.
So you recommend just go to like Overeaters Anonymous?
No. I recommend doing a self-reflection period of how much is this an actual problem and how much of this, if you're looking at it and you want to use self-control, but it's a mountain of a problem, maybe you go to OA. Okay. If you're looking at it and you really find a simple way because it's not too bad, do that. But you got to do some self-reflection and be honest with yourself. What is going on? And if you have no self-control, it feels like that. You don't have self-control is the fact, but you want to have self-control and you try it and people fail over and over. And people will lose a bunch of weight and then gain it all back. I've done that, but not to that degree. But I've done a little yo-yo. I've not done yo-yo. Like I've seen huge, I had a friend once who got up to almost 500 pounds, had the stomach diet, they do whatever they do.
The gastric bypass.
Got down to like 220. I think he might be 250 now, 270, but he put back on, but he's not 500 or even 300 anymore. So
by the way, everything is about self-awareness.
Self-awareness. I have these two things. One of them says peace and love, which was just given to me, and I was very touched when I received it because of who it was and what it really stands for. And the other one says, are you scared? And that is when my brother and I were little, my brother would say to me, and I'm talking about like 10 years old, are you scared, Jeff? I'm scared. I'm hiding under the table. And he would say that stuff to me and I would roar. And he calls me to this day. He's about to turn 60. I'm 62. Jeff, are you scared? And my kids found it the funniest thing they ever heard. They learned about it when they were little. And my girlfriend, when she whispers that to me, I'm just roaring, okay? It just tickles me so much. So my younger son, when he was away at art school, he designed these bands and they say, are you scared? And so this is, are you scared and get in the present. So the orange one reminds me of being in the present. The other one is just peace and love, which it inspires me, but I don't need to wear this for peace and love. It just inspires me. The are you scared? It's a reminder to be present. Be present. Yeah.
Okay. So if you had one life philosophy, what would it be?
For me, it's take what you do seriously. Don't take yourself seriously.
I feel like I've heard that before. Did somebody say that?
Me.
You. Of course, it's the Jeff Garlin.
Yeah. I don't know. Think of all the people in the world.
Yeah.
Quite possibly a million people could have thought of that. I know that in my world, I'd never heard it, and I said it to my kids growing up. That's one thing. Did your dad ever tell you anything? And they'll roll their eyes and say that.
Yes. There was one point where I said to my kids, I said, I feel like I haven't given you enough of these little gems to take with you.
Just be you.
And they were
That's
like, oh,
enough.
Please.
Yeah,
You've given us plenty of
but
gems.
But also, yeah, I'm sure you have. You're a very insightful, I can guarantee, lovely mother. And no, when it pops out of you, it just pops out of you. Don't have regret about not having these insights, because you do. And you talk to people who have them, and that inspires you. And you can go home to your kids and say, you know what someone told me today? Nah, you're good enough. Just don't yell.
I've never yelled.
Yeah.
I have.
Be frustrated. Think that they're a knucklehead,
Yeah.
but don't say that they're a knucklehead.
I don't think I've really ever yelled, honestly. I don't think that's ever happened.
Well, then you're better than most people.
It just doesn't even come up as a thing,
Well, that's
though.
for me. Right now, I'm all about peace and love. So even if my sons disrespect me in some way or do something that I don't like, I never raise my voice because I treat them with peace and love, because this is the person I love most in the world. Why would I yell at them? I've always appreciated what I have. Whether I've enjoyed it or not is the question. And when I think of all those times on Curb Your Enthusiasm, looking back, that I really wasn't, I'd have a good time on camera, but the minute I stepped off camera, I was pretty miserable. I'd hang out in my trailer all day. And other days I'm with Larry and Susie all day and we're eating lunch, and we'd laugh with each other on set even when I was feeling that, because I felt this release when I was doing it. But it's a shame that I spent so much of that just being sad. That's one of my regrets. But I didn't know, doing the best I can with the information I've been given. I didn't have the information then. So, yeah.
What did your brother think when you were diagnosed?
With diabetes?
No, with bipolar.
He was really, really, really supportive. And it explained to him. He told me, he goes, "This explains so much about you."
Sure.
He told me. He also was in my shadow a lot. His nickname when he was a kid was Little Garlin. That's a lot. And people come up to him, "Are you Jeff Garlin's brother?" Or he is the executive director of a big temple in the northern suburbs of Chicago, and his not constituents, that's his members, whatever
whatever the word is.
they all know, And so he said most of them are very respectful, but some of them are just blanked and asking him questions about me.
Oh, that's
and it's
weird.
Really, that's a difficult thing. But I have friends who I've been friends with who are famous, very successful, who I've been friends with since I'm a young boy, and their brother and or sister had to deal with the same thing. It's very difficult. That's why I think there was this show, The Other Ones, that I heard was pretty good about.
Yes, it was funny. It was also HBO.
Right. And maybe Comedy Central. I don't know, but I'm thinking more Comedy Central.
Are you thinking about the siblings of the kid?
Yeah, but that's a tough position to be in. And then also, not only them, but anyone you've been close to, friend-wise, the person that they see now, how people receive them, that's a strange feeling. My son, he came to, when I was on the Wizards of Waverly Place, he came to an episode, in the crowd. He must have been 7 years old, 6 years old. And I'm on stage doing the stuff and talking to the audience, and the audience is laughing and they're, applauding sometimes the scene. He was very upset. And I had to go over to him and tell him, "I'm yours.
Yeah.
This doesn't matter. I'm yours." And he was young, and he knew, and I still am to this day, I'm his.
Yeah.
I would gladly give up everything in my life for him, or both of them. Yeah, I would. Not gladly, but gladly. I mean, not like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this," but I would. I love them, and so it's a strange thing to be around people that are. Even my girlfriend was dissociating when she'd see me on TV and who was sitting next to her, because that's weird. She just came into the picture. I told her, in time you're going to be bored by it and it will mean nothing to you, and we've hit that. My boys have hit that. Like anyone close to me.
Right, but when you first started dating, you were Jeff Garlin.
Yes, and we started dating on FaceTime. We were set up on FaceTime. She was in Detroit with her family. I was here, and we fell in love over FaceTime. We even fought over FaceTime. It got very intense very quickly. And then in the middle of COVID, when she arrived, I told her, "You can't go home. You can't go," because we didn't know much. And I said, "I have to work," because I was filming both shows, especially the Goldbergs, during COVID. And by the way, I lost my temper. I screamed. I had a big breakdown on the set of the Goldbergs one time, because I was promised certain things, in terms of COVID protection, and extras were right on top of me, and my person I'm doing the scenes with, I was curious about the scene. I'm talking to the director, and they said, just do it. And I thought, oh my God, you don't care. I care deeply. Even on a show I don't really respect. I respected the joy it brought people, and I cared. But between that and the people around me, I really had a breakdown, and I went home. Yeah, and so that should have been a sign there's something wrong.
Yeah,
didn't pick up on it, because in my mind that was an excuse to do it, as opposed to just talking to the producer and saying, hey, we've got this, and maybe talking to the director saying, I'm having trouble because the person with me is not, that can be done as a human being.
Sure.
With being in the present and with love and peace. But I didn't. And so I forgot again what we were talking about.
I don't know, but it's really like you can go two different ways in life too. You can continue to evolve and get into a better place and a better space and live better and like have the greatest time, part of your life later.
Yes, well, that's what I'm experiencing now. And also, I feel in relationships that we're put there to help each other heal. Like, that's the main core.
Well, also because we are attracted to people, not all of us, but many people are attracted to people for unfinished business, of course, you realize that.
Unfinished business, and you might be a bit different. I mean, you are, but yeah, that's very true.
But then, unfortunately, it usually doesn't go well if it's the unfinished business that brings you together.
Well, whatever it is with my partner and I'm grateful for it, and I love her madly. So.
All right, last two questions.
Yeah.
Number one is, what's one of the best things your therapist taught you?
My regular therapist, if you will, that term, most of the things I'm talking with you about, I learned in session. He looks like Santa Claus, and he's in his early 80s, I believe, and he's a wise man on the hill for me. And I would say at least half the things I told you about life, I learned from him, or I learned in session, or I thought of in session with him. Because after my sessions with him, I feel better about everything. I'll give you one thing. Trump's first period of being president, I was very depressed. Again, didn't hate the people who voted for him. I was very depressed. And I said to him, what can I do about it? And he said something to me that stayed with me. He goes, do you realize how many millions of miracles happen every day? Beautiful things that we do not hear about, that are small, but they count. And I look at it that way now. I see something happen and I go, but know that all these beautiful things happen. And when I see a beautiful thing happen to me, I go, there it is. So,
gratitude.
There's so many things that I say or learned from him, outside of even that, that just inspire me and help me be who I am.
Okay, last question.
Yes.
Who is Jeff Garlin?
Oh, come on. Who is Jeff Garlin? A man who... Jeff Garlin is a man who does the best he can with the information he's been given. There you go.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Thank you for this.
Oh, it's been a joy.